Peace, world, peace. Welcome or welcome back to Goddess Dawn Speaks. I'm Goddess Dawn, baby, aka the $1 trillion goddess. It's a mindset, it's a vibe, it is a frequency. Get into it. They also call me the queen of info, honey, and I'll take it. So today, my heart is heavy. We are here talking about, we're going to talk about Voletta Wallace, who is the mother of Christopher Wallace, whom we knew as Notorious B.I.G. and a lot of other AKAs. And I'm also going to talk about the fact that one of Diddy's lawyers abruptly quit the RICO case, mysteriously quit the RICO case. But first, I want to give my respects to mother of one of my favorite rappers. I mean, listen, I wasn't as aware as I am now as far as, his lyrics and whatnot. I don't know if I would still have the same affinity had I really known all the things I do today about Puff and all of that. But I think I would, because Notorious B.I.G. really touched me. I mean, he really impacted me greatly, as he did the world, as he especially did New York City and his hometown of Bed-Stuy and Brooklyn. And I know people are affected there. I was listening to a call-in show with MREC. I think it's MREC TV on YouTube. A lot of people call in from New York, and a lot of people had a lot of amazing things to say. So I'm just going to give a little bit of history on Miss Voletta Wallace. The beautiful Miss Voletta Wallace. Wow, my heart is so heavy, as if I knew her personally, as if I knew her son personally. And that's how you know a great artist, when they can touch you in that way. When they can have you remember lines and hooks in their songs, and just the faces they would make and the gestures, their smile, their family life. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my goodness, just breaks my heart. And she was only 72 years old when she passed away, which actually today is young. 72 is young. So, Miss Wallace, she was an immigrant. She came to the United States, to Brooklyn, New York, with her son Christopher in tow. She came from Trelawney, Jamaica. And I can remember her telling stories about him, and I can hear her voice calling him, Christopher! Trying to get his ass in the house. And I know she didn't agree with a lot of the things that he did, of course, but she loved her son so much. Loved to the day she died, to after death, I'm pretty sure. And hopefully they have reunited in spirit on the other side. But she held her son down, okay, all the way. She was very beloved in the community of hip hop. Some people called her the mother of hip hop, along with Tupac's mom, Afeni Shakur, of course. Like the two great mothers of hip hop now gone. It just leaves a hole, But she did give us one of the greatest. She gave us one of the greatest talents in hip hop that we have known to this day. And like I said, he had a huge global impact. And, he just, and in such a short time, I mean, I believe he only had 2 albums. And unfortunately, he was just taken at such a young age, at 24 years old. March 9th, 1997, to be exact, is when we lost him. And, just post his death, I know Miss Wallace, they said she grew his estate from $10 million to over $100 million, might be close to 150. She appeared in his 1994 hit single Juicy, the video. She executive produced his 2009 biopic Notorious. She executive produced his 2021 biopic, his Netflix doc, I Got a Story to Tell. While she was raising him, she worked as a teacher, which isn't surprising. And she did the best she could. You know, she was forced into the spotlight following his unaliving. She was played by Angela Bassett in one of his stories. But she really fought for her son, and she spoke against the evils. She really did. There's an article here. Let me share it real quick. This article talked about how Miss Voletta Wallace, she wanted to slap the daylights out of Sean Combs, honey. And it says here that she spoke in response to Rolling Stone's article about Sean Diddy Combs' long-time abusive behavior. And this was updated on May 30th, 2024. It says, after Rolling Stone published a lengthy article about Sean Diddy Combs' alleged long-time abusive behavior that mentioned the Notorious B.I.G. earlier this week, the late rap icon's mom is speaking out. The investigative story featured interviews with dozens of Combs' former friends and colleagues touching on his alleged violence towards accusers, including Cassie Ventura, as well as jealousy over Biggie, born Christopher Wallace, and Tupac Shakur's friendship in the years leading up to their deaths. And that's the thing about Diddy. This is a jealous, hateful motherfucker, an evil son of a bitch. Jealous of other people's talent, jealous of people's friendships, jealous of people's relationships. And we learned through the documentaries that we've seen about him that he was bullied coming up, heavily bullied. And we know he wasn't cute. So there was a lot to be jealous of. Because Christopher Wallace, although he was a hefty guy, you know, he had that one lazy eye and whatnot. He was a ladies' man. The ladies loved him. Okay. The ladies loved him. He just had a natural charisma about him. There was something about him, his personality, his aura. He was one of the good ones. And then there was his friendship with Tupac. You know, Diddy, I know he was jealous of Tupac too, but word is he wanted to get with Tupac, if you know what I'm saying. We know his history. We know Diddy's history. We know his violent, tumultuous, turbulent way about him, that he would just, how we're learning in a lot of these lawsuits, and I believe a lot of these lawsuits, that he took people down violently, raping people, drugging them, and all of that. And I believe he wanted to do that to Tupac, but Tupac didn't let him get close enough. He wouldn't give him a chance. And on top of that, he and Biggie were close friends. Tupac had a respect for Big, and he had respect for Tupac. And I believe that they had plans to work together even more once Big left Diddy's label, Bad Boy. Once, Gene Deal talked to us about the fact that Diddy had planned, that Biggie had plans to leave. But I'm going to get more into that. I'm going to finish this article real quick. Voletta, 71 at the time of this, spoke to Rolling Stone for an interview published on May 30th, telling the outlet that she feels sick to my stomach, she said. Sick to my stomach, in response to the allegations surrounding Combs, 54, as well as the recently surfaced footage of him physically assaulting Ventura in a 2016 hotel incident. Ms. Wallace said, I'm praying for Cassie. I'm praying for his mother. I don't want to believe the things that I've heard, but I've seen the hotel video, she said, and I pray that he apologizes to her, which we know he did. Well, he apologized. I don't know if it was actually to Cassie. But it says the retired teacher also expressed disappointment in the Bad Boy Records founder and detailed how she'd react in a potential future interaction with him. She said, I hope that I see Sean one day, and the only thing I want to do is slap the daylights out of him. Okay. And you can quote me on that, she said. Standing on business, she was. She said, because I liked him. I didn't want to believe all the awful things, but I'm so ashamed and embarrassed. He needs to apologize to his mother, she said. I hope to God he sits her down and spills his guts and apologizes to her. Well, unfortunately, I have to say that his mother probably knew the type of man he was. He might even slapped his mama at some point. And we saw them with that little weird intimate kiss they had on camera. And his mother, I believe, taught him a lot of things that he knows. So I don't know if Miss Wallace's discernment was where it needed to be. I thought she said at one point in the past that she didn't like Diddy, and that she knew that her son and him weren't as close as Diddy wanted to portray. I thought she said that before. But here in this article, they're saying she said she liked him and she, didn't want to believe those things. And if that's true, as a mother, you really have to turn your discernment all the way up, because you're not only looking out for yourself, you're looking out for your kids. And a lot of times the kids don't want to listen when you say, that one's not your friend. That one you need to watch out for. But we have to be those eyes and ears for our children. And a lot of times for our own friends and other family members as well. Because a lot of people just don't have it. A lot of people just aren't tapped in. But it's very important, because people will not only steal from you, they will take your life, as we see. And our lives are our biggest commodity. This is the most important thing we have, aside from the time that we have here. Really, it's the same thing. Our time is our life. But we got to really be on the lookout for the Diddies of the world coming to our children to take from them, because they're jealous and hateful and evil. And I hope Diddy is stirring in his cell. I really do. I hope he doesn't think this is a time to celebrate. I really hope he doesn't, because in the spirit world, Miss Voletta Wallace is more dangerous to him than she was here on earth. I'm going to tell you that right now. Along with Miss Aaliyah Houghton, I hope she takes over with regard to this criminal case and Keefe D's case. And I hope Diddy gets everything he deserves. He has buckets of blood all over him. Not even just blood on his hands, but buckets of blood all over him. This man does. I think everyone involved in these treacherous killings, Tupac, Biggie, Prodigy, there's still people who need to pay. But we have Diddy locked behind bars. We have Suge Knight locked behind bars. Some people have lost their lives. But we have, be mad if you want to, but I'm going to say the Jay-Z's of the world, the Snoops of the world, still outside. But I know for a fact they're looking behind their shoulders and praying that the feds don't come knocking, because they know what they've done. The Faith Evans of the world, I'm going to include her as well. All these people have been implicated. We know Diddy's been implicated. Gene Deal told us all about it. Faith has been reported when, after Tupac was unalive, she called Diddy and said, "Was that us? Is that us?" Because she knew they were plotting on that man. She's so embarrassed and ashamed that she slept with that man, and he put it in a diss track. And then Snoop. Pac hated Snoop at the end. He did. Because Snoop aligned himself with Diddy. I read that Kim Porter book. I read it to y'all. And if y'all don't believe it's true, that's on you. But I believe a lot of what was in that book. And some of what was in that book told us about a character named XXX. And that character XXX was plotting with Diddy on unaliving Biggie. And it turns out that XXX person was Snoop. Allegedly. But he was afraid for his life when he rode back from New York to the city with Snoop and Suge and them, because he knew that Pac just knew that he was a traitor. He said he sat on that plane with a fork hidden up underneath his shirt, ready to go if he had to. But they didn't bother him like that. But because he was so afraid, such a coward, he went along with the plot. And now look at him on top. He thinks he's on top. Martha Stewart, the Olympics, all these things. How, Sway? How you end up in this position? Why are you still in this position after all these years? And Jay-Z, these people, they get rid of people who are in their way. They gatekeep to the point of people losing their lives. And it is disgusting. Big's mom now being gone, it just leaves a hole. It really does. Her being alive when she was after his passing, I know that took a piece of herself when he died. I know she was heartbroken. She had to live with anger and grief and sadness and guilt too. I'm sure she felt some guilt, even though she had no fault in what happened. But she was strong. And she fought for her son. And she fought for his estate and his children. But her being alive gave us a piece of him as well, being alive. Like, it kind of felt like some of him was still here. But now we need to contend with these evils who are still here, running around in this world. I mean, how dare you, Snoop? Snoop, he such a coward. He didn't even go to Vegas. He didn't go to the Tyson fight. Why didn't he go to the biggest fight of the century at the time? Who he was at the time. He should have been there because he was scared and he knew what was about to happen to Tupac. Why was he on a Nokia chirp phone listening to everything, all the whole play-by-play in real time? Why would he be doing that? He knew in real time what happened to Tupac. Acted like he didn't know shit when he found out from others. Rushed to the hospital. And there's reports and theories that say that he was actually unalived in the hospital, not by the injuries of the bullet wounds either. And I'm calling out the likes of Reggie Wright Jr., who was one of those dirty cops who's still on YouTube today telling his stories. Well, the defense in Keefe D's case just mentioned his ass, implicating him. I hope they get his ass too. Him and all those dirty cops in that Rampart scandal. I was very close to somebody who was unalive. I talked to him 2 weeks before he passed, and he told me about his fight with Suge Knight. I didn't know who Suge Knight was at the time. He was trying to get into the music industry as well. He had an artist that was going to be joining the Outlaws, and Suge agreed to him being on a song and signed the contract and everything, but didn't want to pay when it came down to it. And my friend whooped the shit out of Suge Knight in public because he was a black belt. He knew his shit in karate, and he embarrassed Suge. 2 weeks later, he was gone at his home by people dressed as police officers, LAPD. Those dirty cops knew how to set people up. Went into his safe. But I told y'all I'm writing a book, a coming of age, and all of this stuff is in the book, okay? It's fiction, but it's not at the same time. Let me see what y'all are talking about over here in the comments. Beautiful Spirit, if you want to call in, please feel free. Prayers for Queen Wallace, yes. Hey, Queen Keish. Oh, I didn't even say hi to my people and the chosen ones in the chat, the warriors. Hey. Justice for Biggie, definitely. Her name is beautiful. I agree. Definitely. Queen Keisha, Diddy trial will be justice for her son. I agree with that. Beautiful spirit. She's with her young king. She knew Diddy wasn't right, Queen Keisha said. Beautiful spirit. We will continue to keep Notorious B.I.G.'s name alive always. Yes. She fought a good fight and I salute her. Wow, Wayne. Diddy's guilty, guilty, guilty. Beautiful spirit said puffer fish is a bastard fetus. Notorious was a handsome black man, and his personality and heart made him more handsome in my eyes. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Michelle. Michelle said guilty. Diddy about to find out real soon. He effed around. He about to find out. He finding out right now in real time. They saying Diddy has HIV. Wow, wouldn't that be something? Beautiful spirit said the Lord said, "Let vengeance be His." Yes. Okay, we got the call coming in. Hold on. Okay, let's see how you sound through the speaker. Go ahead.
Hello, warriors. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
How are you?
Doing good, girl. Well, I mean, I'm saddened by this news, but
yeah,
But go ahead. You can go ahead and you got the floor.
Well, I say prayers to the family and friends for Miss Wallace. I think about it, everybody. I didn't realize how young Biggie and Tupac was. They had their whole life ahead of them. Mm-hmm. And the strength that she had, even after his death, the stance that she took against all these demonic people, in the industry was very courageous. And especially when like me, God and I was talking, the unity that they let the public see Tupac's mom and Miss Wallace together. I believe if they knew in depth of what was going on behind the scenes, especially with the master manipulator, I believe that these two queens probably could have got their sons up out of that mess in time, or would have been able to squash a lot of things. Because the respect was demanded whenever they spoke out or was in a room. That was a force to be reckoned with, regardless to what. And we need more mothers like Miss Wallace. Not the ones like Diddy, Manny, Janice, raising little demons around here on earth to be like them. We don't need them. We need to be done away with old hags like that. And I'm going to call her an old hag because she's acting like an old thrown away rag, dirty rag.
A dirty rag.
Yep, old dirty, nasty, filthy rags that got holes and everything in it, and the thread is shredded and stuff. It looks like it done wiped everything that's unearthly good down and around. That's just nasty itself when it comes to Diddy. But our justice will be served, and what they don't want to do is deal with that spiritual war that's coming along with it, and they ain't done with them yet. All of these people are coming back for their justice. You got the Leah, you have, like you said, got a Don Prodigy. It's so many. Kim Porter, it's so many because they think they can run around and hide and dust and dodge here on earth. But honey, your time will come. Even if it's 100 years from now, you will get exposed and you will be held accountable for what you did.
Absolutely. It just breaks my heart. I know. I would have hoped she would be able to see this trial through and maybe she has something to offer. We don't know if the feds, had talked to her and got some information from her. We don't know.
No autobiography, no book.
Yeah, I don't know if she had a personal one. I don't think so, actually. I know she worked
Yeah, that's what
on.
I was saying.
Yeah, no,
And
I don't think she did.
yeah, that would have been beautiful.
I want to talk a little more about Gene Deal and the things that he told us about when Biggie was trying to leave. And see, that's the thing. When I was talking about discernment and being able to just know when people don't have your back, when people really, but who would think that somebody would want to go as far as to take your life?
Yeah.
I mean, like I
Because
said,
envy is a disease.
it is. But like, people will steal from people, money, women, but your life?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is some real evil.
And that's a triple, more than a triple threat of a person. When they have that kind of mentality in heart.
And you see Diddy with all the cases, over 50 civil cases against him currently, and the disgusting things that these people have said about him. Now,
yeah.
And over all the years, 30 years of stuff. I mean, we're talking unalivings, rapings, assaults,
yeah,
theft. I'm talking of money and music, stealing people's money, not paying them properly. Yeah. And that's yeah. affecting people's lifestyles. Like a lot of people who passed away under while they were signed to him or have been signed to him had to do with the fact that they couldn't live right. They didn't have the proper health care. I mean, he took a lot more from people than what would look like on paper.
And to me, and then the drugging and stuff, but they did it when you messing with just taking food off the table, messing with somebody's home life and financial means to be able to provide for their family. Mm-hmm. These people were off better than how they was before they even met him. He made their situation worse, if you ask me. Whether it's the mental anguish, and then all the heartache, and then now you just took my money and stuff. Like they were better off. They were doing off better before he got involved in their life, because he just made it worse. And then all the things that they will never forget is the ones that's still living. And the ones that's not here, it affects the family, if they have, living family and kids and stuff. And he just pranced around and didn't have no shame and didn't care.
Yeah, he only cared about himself and his own family. And I think he barely thinks about his own family, to be honest.
Yeah. He'll do his mama dirty, and I solely believe that. She thinks that that's her pride possession, and her pride and joy and everything. And he's at all of everything and overall and all this stuff. Honey, he beat up her, did her work, anything put together.
I'm curious,
the opportunity.
And I'm curious to see what happens in the case. How the fact that the feds mentioned the fact that should he be convicted, they're going to take everything he got, everything he touched with the money, with the things, that he did with people. And that includes if your money is tied up with other people, like his mother, who everybody says that he put everything in his mama's name, his kids' names. And I know his mama, if she was smart, she would go and touch ground somewhere out this country. I'm not going to not trying to give her no advice, but I'm just saying, because girl, your life is going to look like hell. She might not make it.
She's such a narcissistic, like her son, and he got the same blood pumping through his veins as hers. She's the type that is hang around like an old lingering, unwanted spirit. She'll hang around because she's thinking that she got the mentality. She's slicker than oil and hair grease mixed together on a rainy day.
But I hope she's able to rest in peace. I hope, it's just sad. And I really do hope we finally see justice for Notorious B.I.G., for Christopher Wallace. Brutal death. Yeah. The way they shot that man down.
Yeah, it's terrible. And I'm with you before you get on G Deal. Faith Evans was always suspicious of me. I always questioned her motive. Why is she here? Who's fit for her? What is she around for? It wasn't like she was all of that. Hell, I can't say Mary J. Blige had got a better voice than she do. She had some hits, don't get me wrong. But when you know and see how she was sliding around, sleeping with this man, that man, and the third, and the woman, and whatever else, now it might have been dogs at this point with her selective memory self. She didn't love Biggie as much as I think that whether he had his, his other extra friends or not on the side, she accepted it because she didn't go nowhere. So it was like whatever. But I don't think the love was mutual. I don't think the respect was mutual. I don't think she had a care heart. I think she was like one of the masterpieces that Diddy had underneath his wings, and she went along with it. Because there's no way you was there that night and you have you didn't know, and it took you 45 minutes to wait for Puff Daddy to come pick you, bring the car around, and you found your way down to the entrance and all this stuff. You was a damn lie. That was to me just all lies. That's how you have to get so much powder. You try to suppress what she know and participated in, and the knowledge and information that she knows.
That's probably why she's been doped up all these years. But I'm gonna say this about Faith Evans. So what I know about Faith, obviously she was very young when they got together. She was a singer herself on the big stage, so she had her ego. And when he was cheating on her, and especially with Lil' Kim, with that relationship, she just, I don't think she could take it to the point of her engaging with Tupac the way she did, and probably in a way of, I'm gonna show this nigga,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to boost herself up, make herself feel better about herself, and then realize she made a mistake when Tupac put her out there, and then was so embarrassed and shamed about it and felt stupid that she wanted him gone. Wanted Tupac gone is what I mean. So,
right.
So, it's women like that. These women are out here getting guys set up, and this happens all the time. This is we can talk about today with Big Meech and what's her name, Tammy Cowlins.
Oh yeah, that master splitter. Yeah, she set niggas up and then went and put money on his books. That's in the paperwork.
Mm-hmm. So, it's an old age story, but it's really messed up because I don't think people really realize, like, girl, you have this man's son. And, it's like, you knew he had a daughter. Like, you didn't think about his kids. His mother didn't care.
Nope. That's heartless and soulless. And then people just thinking about themselves. Like, I don't understand how they think that they could just, they're going to be able to live comfortably and think it's just all about me, and only and nobody else. I just don't understand that mentality.
Like I said, I think it's a different animal when you talk about people who are quote unquote celebrities, or, people who other people adore or have put on a pedestal, and these people tend to believe their own hype. They tend to believe they're bigger and better than regular human beings. And they put themselves ahead of other people in the sense of, I'm more important than them. They don't matter. They're nothing, Yeah,
like there's some filth at the bottom of their shoes.
Mm-hmm. But that's really all I have about Miss Wallace. I'm gonna get into this lawyer real quick. Do you have anything to say before?
No.
Okay. Maybe hop back in the chat.
No, I can't.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for calling in.
I love y'all, and I love you guys, and thank you for this another great live, y'all. We're gonna enjoy God and die, and I'm going to give you your flowers.
Thank you. Love you too, boo. Thank you so much for your support. I love you. I'll talk to you later. Yes. Okay, bye.
Okay.
I just want to get into real quick this lawyer situation with regard to Diddy. Let me pull up the paperwork. Yeah. This was interesting. I actually saw this at like 1 o'clock in the morning. I was up writing, and I just happened to look. Something told me to check Diddy's docket, child. And sure enough, there's a filing, a motion to withdraw from one of his lawyers. And I'm scrambling to see which lawyer is it. Well, the lawyer was Anthony L. RICO, Esquire. And he sent this to the judge on the 21st. It says it was filed on the 21st, but I think he did it the day before. But it says that he came on board on September 22nd, 2024. He was retained by the defendant to serve as his counsel. He said, I've served as his counsel since that time. As a result of being retained, a notice of appearance was filed in our court on September 29, 2024. This declaration is submitted in support of the annex notice of motion for my withdrawal as counsel, as is required under the SDNY local court rules. And number 2 on this filing, it says, for the reasons set forth below, this motion for withdrawal is filed so that Sean Combs may move forward with his defense and come to commence jury selection and trial without any delay. So in number 1, it says reasons to be relieved as counsel for Sean Combs. Number 3, it says, as a result of discussions with lead counsel Mark Ignifilo, this motion for the withdrawal of counsel is filed. Number 4, while I'm aware that the local rule requires that an application for withdrawal of counsel is supported and granted only upon showing by affidavit or otherwise of satisfactory reasons for withdrawal, there are sufficient reasons, and he says, related to the protections afforded by attorney-client privilege. Okay, so he's protecting his reasons underneath the protection of attorney-client privilege for brevity in my application for withdrawal and counsel in this case. So he's saying I'm being real brief in this filing because of attorney-client privilege, and he knows why I'm leaving. And he said, although I have provided Sean Combs with the high level of legal representation expected by the court, under no circumstances can I continue to effectively serve as counsel for Sean Combs, consistent with the ABA standards for criminal justice. Under no circumstances, he said. Number 5, the motion for withdrawal of counsel is granted, if granted, will not result in a delay of the present schedule. And as a result, there will be no lapse in representation. He will continue to be represented by 5 other attorneys of record. Number 6, without violating any aspect of the attorney-client privilege or otherwise providing any details whatsoever on the ground supporting the application, the government has been notified of the filing of the motion to withdraw as counsel. The government takes no position on the motion seeking withdrawal of counsel for Sean Combs. So wherefore it is respectfully but regrettably requested that the court grant the relief requested in the annex notice of motion and permit counsel Anthony L. RICO to withdraw as attorney of record. Now, he could have said a lot of things. He could have said, I have personal reasons, things going on in my life. I have something on another case that I'm dealing with that's taking too much of my time. No. Instead, he said that he has to protect the reasons why under client privilege, attorney-client privilege. He doesn't want to divulge that because he knows it's going to hurt his client. If he put the reasons, I'm sure, in this filing, it would hurt Diddy. So he's explaining why his filing is so brief. And he's saying, under no circumstances can I continue to effectively serve as counsel for Sean Combs, consistent with the ABA standards for criminal justice. He's like, I can't fuck with this nigga. I can't do this. I don't want to touch him with a 10-foot pole. Get me out of here. I'm done with this. I no longer want to associate myself with this bullshit. Okay? Beautiful Spirit said it just might be another attorney that may quit. Yeah, we may see more attorneys leaving. Queen said probably couldn't afford all the lawyers, hence he sued NBC and Ariel Mitchell. And honey, if he couldn't afford it, he would have said so in the filing. He would have said, he can't pay me, so I'm leaving. So let's not take away from the fact that he said it's attorney-client privilege and that he absolutely can't continue for reasons that his client is aware of. It don't have nothing to do with money. I doubt it. Beautiful Spirit said, I wonder if the evidence has an influence on his decision to withdraw. That's what I'm thinking, because they're going through this evidence and they're asking for the names for the enterprise letter of the victims and the co-conspirators. And I'm wondering if they're finding things out that are just too overwhelming to be able to represent with a good conscience. Some lawyers actually have a conscience. Now, I want to go real quick back to Queen Keish. You said something earlier about why Snoop and Tupac fell out. And I thought I talked about it, but Snoop aligned himself with Diddy. Mind you, Tupac was beefing with them heavy. He hated Diddy. And they were in an interview together, Snoop and Pac. And Snoop said, I don't have no problem with them. I don't have no problem with Bad Boy. He literally said it in the interview, and Tupac was heated. And it was right before they left to go to Vegas for that fight. And that's when Snoop got on that plane and said he put a fork up under his shirt because he said he was scared. He thought they was going to do something to him, but he got on the plane anyway because he was trying to be brave, even though he was a coward. And I told you also that in that Kim Porter book that some people say is not real, but I do believe some of them things in that book. He was the character they didn't name. They put it as XXXXX. And that character in that book was plotting with Diddy to unalive Tupac and Biggie. These Negroes was jealous. They didn't want people to surpass them. Mind you, Snoop was on top at one point, but then when Biggie and Tupac, Snoop was on top. When Biggie and Tupac started coming into play, his name started to diminish a bit. He started to have to be in the background, in the shadows. His ego was too big for that. He couldn't just rap his way out of it. You can state your opinions, girl. I don't have no problem with that, but I'm stating mine as well. It could be either, but what I'm telling you is that it's not just about no money. I'm telling you right now, because you can say that without hurting Diddy. You can say that, oh, he can't afford me. Matter of fact, that might be a reason, just fire me. And I won't have to ask to withdraw and it won't look bad. Just release me. It don't have nothing to do with that. I doubt it very seriously. Beautiful Spirit said it might just be, wait, what did you say? Snoop said on the Breakfast Club how he hated Tupac. Did he really? Because I haven't heard nothing like that from Snoop. All Snoop would ever say is how Tupac was this and Tupac was that, meaning he put him on a pedestal. Maybe that was before he realized that he's digging a grave for himself by talking on Snoop's name like that. Pufferfish said paid for Snoop attorneys in that murder case. Diddy did? Because I know he was with Suge at the time in Death Row. You sure? Where are you getting this information, girl? Some of you are competing, but it's okay. But again, I don't have no problem with people stating opinions, but I need y'all to use your common sense. I need you to really think deeper than what you are seeing on the surface. This man was being very cryptic in this filing. They're supposed to tell us why they're leaving. But he said he didn't want to do that because it's under attorney-client privilege. Okay? He could have made it real simple. Oh, you can't pay me? Well, just fire me then. Just release me. That's what you read? That he hated Tupac, or that the attorney, that Diddy paid for Snoop's attorneys in the murder case? murder was the case that they gave me. It's really a shame that people who we have such a history with in our community, that these things are being unearthed about them. And it's just really a bad look on hip hop all around. It's really just a sad look on our community. And this is why them other people talk about us. Oh, y'all don't support each other. You can't even hold each other down. How you gonna help unite us and what we trying to do when you can't even look out for each other? And they look at people like Snoop and all these people who are on top as examples. Oh, you read Diddy? Let me see if I could find it. Of course, the only thing coming up when I look up about Snoop and his lawyers who pay, or did Diddy pay for his lawyers, is the Keefe D case. What is this? Here's an article. Suge Knight, co-founder and former CEO of Death Row Records, tells Cuomo that Sean Diddy Combs is not the only one to put younger artists through humiliating sex acts. Oh, that's something else. But let's see what it says. What? Describing various industry practices throughout the decades. The video above contains excerpts of his live exclusive interview with Chris Cuomo. Okay. They talk about his arrest. And Suge Knight's arrest as well. Knight claims Diddy was taught from people before him, and he did it to the younger people after him. It's an industry that, according to Knight, has a long history of sex abusing and assaulting its newest members. He said one practice called an egg test. Oh, this is where we found out about the egg test. Those guys pull their pants down and bend over. They stick the egg up their eggs break. They say they're not ready yet and they ain't put enough work in. This is Hollywood. Wow. Without attending those butt naked parties, it's hard to comprehend what happened, but that doesn't mean it was secret, according to Knight, because it's been going on in the industry for a whole bunch of years, for decades. And at the same time, Diddy wanted to be true, and it shouldn't have been true. Shouldn't have to be true, he said. Knight also said he believes Diddy's allegations stem from his own experiences. Hurt people. Someone was sexually abused. They wind up being a perpetrator. Is that what you're suggesting about Sean Combs, that he was abused and he now abuses? He asked. Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. I think it was done to him. And it says Knight accused other industry professionals, including a man whose job it was to bring underage girls and girls to have sex with employees and other artists, to the point where his friend got caught up with the same thing. Knight went on to mention that Interscope and Universal have a policy of not dealing with artists who get in trouble and are often the ones paying off the alleged victims for their artists. Knight claims a woman was allegedly assaulted by Diddy and later settled with Interscope. He claimed the company put her on the payroll as a means of repayment, with Knight adding he believes she had to pay taxes. He said, I shouldn't say that because I'm trying to protect her image, but he beat the S out of her and Cassie. He did things to her you should never do to a woman. He also mentioned artists by name who should have been whistleblowers, including Jay-Z, Snoop Dogg, and Rick Ross, among others. Knight called for a change in the industry, telling Cuomo, if we don't fix it and do something about it, history will constantly be repeating itself. Now, what he's saying about whistleblowers, he's talking about against Diddy. Jay-Z, Snoop, and Rick Ross, to me, says that they were all under Diddy's victim hood, that they were victims of Diddy as well. Because we all know they all came up under Diddy. Diddy was already a made man by the time Jay-Z, Snoop came in with Suge, but Snoop eventually aligned himself with Diddy. And for him to do that means to me that he had to go through the Diddy school of becoming one of my bitches, one of my artists. After discussing the potential conditions of the Brooklyn Federal Jail, where Diddy is reportedly on suicide watch, Knight shared advice for the mogul. He said, I don't care who you are. Prison is a negative environment. Somebody can do something to Diddy and get a name for themselves, but we also got to learn. We got to learn from our mistakes. You got to better yourself. This Suge is a trip. Knight said Diddy had a great run, but that he should get his time out the way if he doesn't get a life sentence. He had a great run. I've been locked up for 10 years and I ain't had a bad day yet, he said. There's a lot of things we can do to help each other, and it's never too late for help. The music mogul is currently in a place that's been described as hell on earth and an ongoing tragedy. A former warden at the Brooklyn Detention Center says the facility suffers from a disproportionate element of corruption within the ranks, meaning that the officers are corrupt. Knight also called out legendary music executive Clive Davis and other record industry leaders in the original broadcast interview. A spokesperson for Davis issued a statement to News Nation in response to Knight's allegations, saying, this is completely fabricated thread that is being trafficked by an incarcerated felon. Mr. Knight's assertions about Clive Davis are 100% false. Of course, they're going to deny, as nothing of the sort ever happened. Clive is a mentor to artists, and in keeping with this, never ever condoned any such inappropriate behavior. Yeah, Clive Davis is an evil individual, child. And, RIP to Whitney and to Luther Vandross. And anybody else who was up under Clive Davis who's no longer with us, because they were too successful for their own good. A lot of this has to do with greed. Yeah, Suge was abusive himself. I was thinking that too. Wasn't Suge abusive man to women? Yes, he was. But he would come into women such as, I'm going to say Michelle, for example. I think she was one of them. She has kids with each of them. She got a kid with Suge and a kid with and Dr. Dre. Both of them are known abusers. But see, Suge came in all sweet and kind and comforting, knowing what she was going through with Dr. Dre, wooed that woman, and then ended up probably doing the same thing to her. It's just a nasty business. Wayne said this channel is for mature audiences only. I think that's what where I'm gonna end this as far as Voletta Wallace leaving this earth. This is her and Big when he was young. She reminds me of the lady who was in Pakistan with that white stuff on her face like that. The lady from New York. She was probably also from Jamaica or somewhere. She had that white stuff on her face like that. But she was a beautiful woman, beautiful soul, beautiful spirit. And he got it from his mama. But I want to thank y'all. Happy Friday. Have an amazing weekend. If I don't touch base during the weekend, have an amazing time. Enjoy every minute if you're off from work. And I will see y'all on the next one. Right, let me get this one from Michelle real quick. New money and evil and spirit on all levels evil. Absolutely. Yeah, but we're going to stay away from people like that, right? We're going to up our discernment and we're going to protect those around us, our children especially, and ourselves. Stay safe. Peace and love.